downloaded version, or you can go onto your training center and go to events and then go to 2015, and you will see my Scentsy story. We were blessed to be able to share our Scentsy story on stage at the 2015 Scentsy Family Reunion that was here in Las Vegas. But I will just kind of give you a snippet so you kind of have an idea where it came from. Well, I was asked to share kind of what my background was, and I think it does have a lot to do with where I am today. Just the background as far as different types of careers I've been in, as well as where I was at the time of my life when I started. I bounced around from job to job, no joke. The longest I've ever been in any career was 2.5 years, and that was the entertainment field. So I was a singer and a dancer, and I impersonated Deborah Harry from Blondie. and so I was paid to have fun and dance, and that's why I was able to stick it out for 2.5 years, and I had flexibility. And when I decided to get out of that career to be a mom and a wife, I realized that although I had a knack for like organization and kind of administrative, I did pretty well. I felt like I was like a lion in a cage all the time. I couldn't just sit at a desk and, be here from 9 to 5, and it just didn't work for me. And I'm the kind of person that feeds off the energies. And when you're around a bunch of people that just don't like their jobs and don't like life, it starts to get down on you. So I would be miserable coming home and just hated life. I hated people. I hated life. I had my job, and it started to affect my marriage. And, so I quit every time. I had a job for maybe like 6 months, and then I quit, and then I'd find something else. And then actually the sad thing is that we lost our home. We had to foreclose on our very first home that we purchased because I quit my job and I didn't think about it. Oh, wow, we have to pay a mortgage, don't we? And so I finally found a temp job. I went to a temp agency, and I found a job that I kind of liked. I was working with all men, so there was no female drama. There was no, they just stuck to themselves. And unfortunately, I worked there for a year, and I got laid off because it was right at the time of, it was 2010 or 2009, sorry, when the economy went down. And so my job basically went bankrupt. And so obviously they had to lay me off. We were active duty military at the time, and we knew we were going to be transferred to New Mexico, and we were living in Vegas at the time. And so we had about 9 months out. And so I was like, well, I don't think anybody's going to hire me when they know I'm going to leave in 9 months. So I kind of rode the unemployment train for I'd go on interviews, and then I knew they would turn me down just so I could keep up the unemployment. I got to New Mexico, and the size of the town was like, you could drive for like 10 minutes and you saw the entire town. And so there was no jobs. And any job that was kind of, thinking of hiring me, I would have had to pay more money than I was going to make to put them into daycare. My kids, I have 2 kids, sorry, my beautiful, we both have around the same age. I have a son that's 9 and a daughter that's 7. And at the time, my daughter was 9 months when we moved to New Mexico, and my son was barely 2. And so I kind of got my unconscious dream come true that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. But I didn't realize how hard it was to be a full-time mom, and didn't have a break. I didn't have a lunch break to sit and do my thing. Everything was just really, really hard. And then my husband left for 6 months to Japan. So I was in a new environment, no friends, no family. My husband was gone. I had a 9-month-old baby and a toddler. And so unfortunately, I went into kind of a deep depression because I was kind of a mama's girl, and I still kind of am. I never been away from my family. And so I was miserable. And I started buying Scentsy from a lady across the street. She was the first person I met there in New Mexico. We kind of clicked because we had kids the same age, and she had a baby on the way. So we both had infants once she had the baby. And she introduced me to Scentsy, and I fell in love with it. It was kind of my only thing that I had to look forward to on a daily basis, or weekly or monthly. I was the customer that like would order anytime my husband got paid and I had like an extra $5. I would buy a bar, and it would make me feel like, oh, I had something to look forward to. I was excited to make my house smell good. And it was a psychological thing that kept me going every day. So Scentsy was a big part of that 6 months of just keeping me going when my husband was gone. So I kind of trained myself to kind of go, okay, clean the house, turn my Scentsy on, and get excited for the bars to come, every couple weeks or whatever. But anyways, fast forward about a year after I moved to New Mexico, and I met my sponsor, who is not the lady I was buying from. I met her at a retirement party, and unemployment had exhausted, and it was about, I was supposed to actually leave for the I just went blank, sorry, for the U.S. Reserves. That whole year I was actually training because I knew that there was really nothing I could do to work in New Mexico. So I decided to join the military. And it was literally about a week out before I was supposed to leave for boot camp when I got medically disqualified. And I literally hit rock bottom of I really thought I had no options. We weren't getting unemployment anymore. So unfortunately we were so broke, we literally didn't have milk in the refrigerator. That's how broke we were. And so my husband dragged me to this party because we didn't even have money for gas to get to this party. And we were kind of fighting over that. So thank goodness he dragged me there. I met my sponsor, and I think it was just, I had no other options. I had no other where to turn. And she just asked me why I wasn't selling Scentsy, because I loved I saw her shirt that said Scentsy, and I was like, all of a sudden I lit up. I was like, oh, Scentsy, I know Scentsy. And, I was really kind of mad at my husband because he kind of took off and left me in this big crowd of people. And I don't like being in crowds. I'm kind of shy in that situation. And I started talking to my sponsor, but I didn't notice her shirt said Scentsy until he came and he said, don't we buy that stuff? And that's when I lit up. And she saw that transition in my personality of how I was kind of just shy and didn't want to be there, to all of a sudden, oh, Scentsy, I know Scentsy. And so she asked me immediately, why aren't you selling Scentsy? And I said, selling? What? I don't sell things. I don't know anybody. No. I can't do this. And I literally threw every rebuttal and rejection of why I can't be a Scentsy consultant at her. But she just kept sharing more things. She kept saying, oh, you know what? The most amazing thing about what I love about Scentsy is the cause warmer. And she opened up the autism warmer, and that's when I was sold. My cousin is autistic, and it was kind of like a sign to me that, you know what? If anything fails, I can sell that warmer because I know my family will buy it. And that's pretty much it, you guys. So when I share that story, I really want you guys to pay attention to that. You never know when somebody really is at the bottom of their barrel. And, I dressed up nice. I was out on a date with my husband. So if she looked at me, I didn't look depressed. I didn't look like I needed Scentsy, even financially, because I had a nice shirt on and some nice shoes. Like when I had money, when I had a job, it was an outfit I hadn't worn like a year. And so never judge the way somebody looks. I looked like I had money. I looked like I was in a happy marriage, which I was, but I wasn't, because we were so broke. And so if she didn't have the confidence to continue to just keep sharing all the amazing things about Scentsy and just let me shut her down from the second she said, why aren't you selling Scentsy? I wouldn't be here today. So that is a little snippet of why I joined Scentsy. you had some questions. I have them printed out. Do you want me to just go ahead and, or do you want to ask me personally yourself, or so your friend, so everybody can hear, or do you want me just to go ahead and, Leticia?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, I'm going to ask you the questions, like
Okay.
a question and answer type thing. That's what an interview is. Yeah. Allow me to interview you.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm excited.
Yes, I am solely blown away by your story. Like, I swear I didn't know that you've gone through this huge journey to get where you are today. And that's so powerful. And I'm telling, it's just inspirational. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Okay. So the first question I have is, what is your top 3 tips on how you maintained and built and maintain your business? Because anybody can build a business, but it takes a lot to maintain a business. So if you could just share with us some of your top 3 tips, like if somebody just asked you, on the street, what are your top 3 tips? What would you say to them?
Okay, so I'll tell you what the top 3 are, and then I'll kind of explain them. And I'm gonna share with you right now that you guys have all heard these things before, but I'm hoping that maybe they'll impact you in a different way. That so you'll realize that it really is that simple. It's just understanding how severe they are and vital in order to implement them into your business and into your life. So I know I made director in 4 months. I went straight to star my first month, and I jumped to superstar my second month. And then by my 4th month, I promoted to director. And so the reason, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a big accomplishment. But I hold it because I know that the reason why is because I knew my why down to the depths of my soul. I knew there was no question why I shouldn't learn and implement everything that people that have done this before tells me what I need to do. So I was more scared to not put food on the table, to continue to live the life that I was living, depressed. My marriage was crumbling. So that scared me more than the fears that I had talking to people, which I was very shy. If people don't believe me, but I was, and I still am in certain settings. But the fear inside me of continuing that life and that just poverty and just humiliation of not being able to provide for my children. My son showed very early in his age that he really liked baseball. And the thought that I couldn't let him play baseball because, I couldn't afford it devastated me. That was the last thing I could ever bear, of not being able to provide the things my children. I know that's his dream, and knowing because of my failures or my lack of planning or lack of actions, he would have to suffer. That's what my why was that it's not fair to my child because I'm scared to be turned down, to say somebody telling me no. It's not fair to him that to let my fears hurt his future. So that was my why. And another part of my why was that I saw my husband year after year working 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, exhausted. And it made me say, you know what? I want to show him how much I appreciate how hard he works for this family. And knowing how devastated he was that he couldn't provide for us at one point, it killed him as the man of the family, that we were that broke, and that, he couldn't take care of us without me working in some way. So I wanted to show him how much I respected him, how much I loved and, honored him as the man of the house, that, I knew that if I worked my butt off, he would know how much I appreciated his hard work. And so that was my why. And because I knew that from the day I clicked join, there was nothing that could be thrown at me that was harder than the moment my baby boy, at not even 3 years old, came up to me and asked me for milk, and I could not give him a glass of milk because we didn't have milk in the refrigerator. So Was I scared? Absolutely. Did I cry? Absolutely. Did I shake so much that I felt like just giving up many times? Absolutely. But it wasn't about me anymore. It was about, you are a mother and your children look to you to take care of them. So it's not about how, your devastation anymore. It's about your duty as a mother. And that was my why. And it still is. It's just, it's turned into different things because I now have more than enough milk in the refrigerator. Okay. Thanks to Sensi. So it's so vital to have a why that not only gets you going, but the why that makes you cry. You hear that all the time, but the reason why that makes you cry is so vital is because this business is a relationship business and it's a people business. And people can be very hard. They can be hurtful. They can mess with your emotions. And so until you build that really thick skin to be able to know whether it's about you or it's their own baggage of what they're taking out on you. Because a lot of us take it as when we get a no, I don't want Sensi, or, I don't want to host with you, or I don't want to join. We take it as, I don't want to host with you, not just, I don't want to host, period. And we take it personally. So that why that makes us cry, it builds that barrier, that steel around us that makes us say, okay, you know what, this hurts, but my why means more to me than the pain that I'm going through right now, because that why is going to hurt my future or make my future if I don't let these things roll off me. And I always say to my team, like water off a duck's back, off of feathers. You know how it just rolls off and you couldn't even tell they were wet. You have to build that in your business, in your life. And I know that's why I built it so fast, is because I knew from the beginning. Now, if you don't know your why that makes you cry at this point, it's okay. Because there's a director on my team that's been in the business for 2.5 years, and she just found her why that makes her cry just now, and she's already made director. So there's, don't think that, oh, I don't know my why, it doesn't make me cry, that you're done. It means, you know what, there's so much more out there. That means there's so much more for you to look forward to, because once you find it, look out. Nothing's going to stop you. Okay. Because I'm a perfect example that I started with no direct sales experience, had no idea. All I knew is there was wax and warmers. It's not like I was this big pro and I knew about Sensi. And so I'm an example that your why that makes you cry moves boulders, moves mountains, because how else did I build a team and do the things that are hard and learn the functionality of the business in 4 months? And I have never not made my director numbers, ever, in 5.5 years. So that means that why kept me building and fighting and learning, which brings me to my next tip is your knowledge, which you were talking about, Leticia. It is so vital to know your business, understand what is available to you. If your compensation plan is not clear to you, you're hurting yourself, because that if you know what's available to you on a financial level, it's going to push you a little harder, knowing if I do this, this, and this, it's going to give me this result. So when things get hard, and maybe the end of the month is kind of like, I did pretty good, but you know that pushing yourself a little bit more is going to get you a substantial bonus with sponsoring bonuses, or maybe even just hitting your 2,000. If you don't know what's available to you, you are basically putting money back into the company's pocket, which we're so blessed that the company puts it into, like incentive trips and leadership retreats and reunion. They don't just pocket the money, they utilize that money, but that's your money. That's your money. And so I learned the compensation plan from the get-go. And I learned what the business has the opportunity. I learned that when you become a director, your children have the opportunity to have a scholarship through Sensi to apply for a scholarship. Now, I knew I didn't have two nickels to rub together, so I definitely didn't have a scholarship fund put away for my kids. So I said, oh, I make director. I can give my kids the opportunity like that to have a scholarship for college. That was another thing that pushed me to continue to grow. So learning your business inside and out is so vital, because you're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting your clients, your future recruits, that if you don't know what's available, it's going to be very hard for them to know, because you're not going to be talking about it. And, you know, can you be successful without a good sponsor, or sponsor that talks to you and shares with you what's going on? Absolutely, because it's there in the workstation. But connection is so important. And so my sponsor and I were very, very close in the beginning, but I tend to be very independent. So I tended to do things on my own, and I didn't wait around for my sponsor. If she didn't respond to me, I went right up the line. If they weren't available, I called support. If support didn't help me, I was on my workstations looking for the answer. And I made it happen myself. I didn't let anybody, any person, or any obstacle get in my way of my results. Because from the beginning, I knew that it was up to me. I can make excuses. I can say, darn it, my sponsor's not responding to me. You know, I know she's available. I know she got off at 6. She should be answering my text messages. You know, I could do that all day, but guess what? There's an hour of me complaining, and I could be getting results with my business. So that mindset is what got me to be an independent business owner from the get-go, instead of just being a Sensi consultant. So the knowledge and the connection is vital. My tip is the knowledge and staying connected, like these training calls. I made a point to train myself that Tuesday, all consultant calls. We have an upline that does a Saturday call, and then there's a new consultant call on Thursdays with our group. I was on every single Thursday new consultant call every Thursday for 2 years. Was I a new consultant? No. But I knew that I had new people coming on, so I needed to know what was going on with them and what was being taught to them, so they didn't feel like I'm telling them to do something that I'm not doing. Second of all, you can always be learning. Somebody brand new can ask a question that you would have never thought, that never came up in your business. And so you're learning from them. And it's also feeding you that new energy, that excitement when people are brand new and they're, I just joined yesterday, and oh my goodness, and I got my startup guide a couple days ago, and da-da-da-da. That's the energy you need to be constantly fueling yourself with. Because if you disconnect, the negative energies of the world will take over, and it will push you further and further away, and closer and smaller into your own little your little cubby in the corner, away from the big picture of the big success picture of what you want. So that connection is vital. You need your Sensi sisters' energy and support, and you need that constant. We always say that new blood of new consultants, the energy that is just contagious, always. So I train myself that's what I'm doing on Thursday nights. That's what I'm doing Tuesday mornings, and that's what I'm doing Saturday mornings. I train my family that if you want to go to breakfast, absolutely, after the Saturday call. If my family's in town, I love it. Awesome, guys. I'll meet up with you in an hour. I have a conference call. But the thing is, if you change your mindset that this is what I have to do because this is my business, it's not an option anymore. It's a responsibility. And so that when Leticia was sharing about being paid like a business, when your job you worked for somebody else says, we have a conference or a meeting at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, you don't think about if you can show up. You don't say, oh, but my sister's coming in town and, we wanted to go get our nails done. And, that's just not an option. I'm sorry, sister, whoever, I have a meeting. I'll meet you afterwards, right? So I train myself to treat my business like I was, like they were paying me to be at that conference call. Because guess what? In the end, the knowledge I was receiving is paying my bills because I'm going out to implement. And so there's a difference between being knowledgeable. You could be the Sensi dictionary, but if you're not out there and implementing it, it's not doing anything for you. So asking yourself constantly, am I a lot of talk? Do I have a lot of knowledge? But what am I doing with it? So from the very beginning, Becca Levi, a lot of you guys know her, big superstar director in the company. She asked me to be a speaker on her Saturday call 3 months into my business. And I'm thinking, why does she want to talk to me? What's going on? And so one thing I said on that call is, it's not rocket science. The only thing I've done in the 3 months to get to superstar consultant, I've listened to the people that have made it happen. I got the knowledge and I went out and did it. That's it. And if it doesn't work, I did it again. If it doesn't work, I did it again until it worked. And so it's not that you have to be this big creative person that, you have to figure it all out. No, it's done for you. You just have to go and basically walk on the pavement that has been laid for you and utilize all of the concrete for as your foundation, because the people ahead of you have already laid it for you. You just have to go and utilize it. So a lot of people will stop their growth because they think they have to be unique. And you're going to be authentic and unique in your own way, no matter what. But the specific things that have to be done in this business to be a business and to be paid like a business are all they're all formal. It's all the same things. It's a system, and that's what I did from the very beginning, and I continue to do to this day. 5.5 years later, and star director of team members of over 300 people around the world. So I don't say, oh yeah, this is where I am today, I don't need to know anything. No, I still show up just like I'm a brand new consultant learning new things. So the first one is knowing your why that makes you cry, and continuing to dig deep inside. 2 is to stay connected and with your Sensi family and your training calls to learn that knowledge and keep that positive energy going, that new blood, that positive energy flowing through you constantly. And then my third biggest tip is, I wrote it down here and I want to just see how I said it. My biggest tip is, the third tip is knowing what you're willing to do. Because you could be told, this is what it takes to be a business owner in this company and actually make an income out of this business. But if you don't know what you're not willing to do, it's going to be very hard for you to find what you are willing to do. So I, from the very beginning, wrote down everything I'm not willing to do. And fortunately for me, that was very little. I stopped at, I'm not willing to give up my children's time. And that's about it. So what I did is I brought them everywhere I went. They made deliveries with me. They went to Sensi parties with me. They did everything with me. And so that was my only thing I wasn't willing to do. I was willing to lose sleep, which I did. I slept 4 hours a day for the first 6 months of my business. And so that was the bare minimum for me to function in my brain. But I knew I was willing to do that. But if you're not willing to lose sleep, you can't schedule what you're going to be able to accomplish in your day if you don't know how much time you're willing to put into it. So figure out what you're not willing to do. Are you not willing to do deliveries across 45 minutes across town? Are you not willing to adjust your schedule? Meaning, if family's coming into town, are you not willing to stand strong and say, this is my business, I have to show up to this? I'm not saying you won't be successful. It just will be a lot harder for you to move forward faster. So there's an acronym called MAN, Massive Action Now. Now. So they say that if you do a lot of what people aren't willing to do now, you're going to be able to do a lot what most people aren't able to do ever. And I'm a product of that. I was willing to sacrifice everything in my life, time, sleep, energy, humiliation, dignity, everything to change my circumstances financially, emotionally, my marriage, everything. And so I did that massive action. And as you can see, 4 months later, I had massive results. And so they always say, don't compare yourself to anybody because, if you're not able to do that, you have to realize I was a stay-at-home mom that didn't have anything to do. I couldn't find a job. So what else do I have to do but to submerge myself into Scentsy? If you have a full-time job, you can't expect to be able to put as much time as I did into my business and excel that fast. You may, I don't know, but don't think just because you don't become a director in 4 months that you're never going to be successful. It's an example of how the more you put in, the more you get out. And my massive action of sleepless nights and just submerging myself constantly into my business created a huge momentum and just built my business and continued to build from the ground floor, which is why getting your team members off to a sensational start in the very beginning is so vital, because once they build that foundation and that beginning momentum of their business, it tends to push them through to keep going. And that's what happened with me. I hit level 3. I sold over 5,000 and sponsored well over 6 people. And, that immediate success and that immediate accomplishment and recognition built my confidence. And so I was able to finally say, I have something to give the world. I have a purpose now. And it helped me be willing to even do more than I was willing to do, than I thought I was, because now I'm able to help other people. So I hope those 3 make sense to you, that knowing your why is my biggest tip. Staying connected and knowledge, and then knowing what you're not willing to do and knowing what you're willing to do are so vital in your business. And then you can build from that.
Awesome. That was amazing. And if you guys happen to have any questions, I like to pop in between the interview questions if you guys happen to want to stop and want Jessica to elaborate on something. Just take yourself off mute, or we also have a comment box on the side there that you guys can type in your questions as well. But that was amazing, Jessica.
Oh, thank you.
Especially when you talked about sacrifice, and I find that I get a lot of women who reach out to me because I share my story about how passionate I am as a mom, and how, that's my number one thing. I never want to fail as a mother, because I've been homeless. I've been through the struggle of not having a roof over my head. And it's hard and it's scary, you know what I mean? Because you're exposed to the world and you don't have that, I grew up not always having that protection of my parents, but that's what drives me, because I don't want my children to go through that emotion that I did of not feeling safe or not feeling secure. So like you said, that's why I would go up to anybody and tell them, hey, I'm your Scentsy consultant. I don't even tell them I'm a Scentsy consultant. I'd be like, I'm your Scentsy consultant. I already told you. I already declared it. Okay.
Good for you.
Yes, because, at the end of the day, I got to keep that fridge full. Like, just like I told you before I came on, I had to get diapers for the baby. You know what I mean? Like, I have the opportunity to do that with my Cincy business because, okay, you know what I mean? Where in the past I didn't have that luxury. But yeah, thank you so much. So the second question I have for you is, what are some of your follow-up techniques? 'Cause I know some of us don't want to admit it, but many of us struggle with following up. It's something I encourage my team to do all the time. I know I do the phone calls. Like I like to hear people's voices. Maybe because I always worked in the secretarial field where I'm on the phone all day, but I don't like texting, emailing, or using that slide dial app. I have to speak to my customers on the phone. But I notice it's something that people find to be of a struggle, whether it's fear, procrastination, or whatever. So what are some of the tips that you can share to get over that?
So there was a quote that early on in my business, a superstar director had shared about follow-up. And she said, "You call because you care." And there's several different experiences that I had early on that if I never called, I wouldn't have known that certain things were going on with my client. A specific example was when I had a customer that she tried our layers products back when we had layers, and she broke out. She tried it the very first day she got it, and she broke out everywhere. And if I didn't call to ask her how she liked it, I called her like a couple days later, and so she didn't call me. She broke out the first day. She didn't call me to tell me. If I didn't call, I would have never known. And she said, "You know what?" She told me this from her mouth. "If you never would have called, I probably would have never ordered Scentsy at all again. Even though I love the warmers and wax, it would have just turned me off to the company, period. But since you called to see how I liked it, that shows that you really do care about me as a customer." And so what I did is I said, I of course I apologize for, I'm sorry that happened. And she said, it's not your fault. And I said, anything I can do to compensate you, I'll be happy to give you your money back or give you a Scentsy credit. And I was just going above and beyond. And she was just like, "You know what? I don't even want my money back. I'm just happy you called." And so that's where that "I called because you care" comes from. So that's all they want to know, is that you care. And so ideally, yes, phone calls are so vital because it's a relationship business. And the only way we can build a relationship is through talking, through connection, and knowing what's going on with your clients. And so there's a couple things that I do that helps me with that, because obviously 5.5 years in, I have a lot of clients. And so there's only certain things that I've had to learn over the years of how I can keep up. So there's a couple different things I do. And I'll kind of share with you just so you understand the difference, because there's different phases you are in with your clients in your business, and how you can keep up. So when I have a new client, meaning they're brand new to my business, they just bought for the first time, I never, ever, ever, even if they want to, me to drop it off at their house, leave it outside or whatever, I have to make that second connection, meaning I want to see you again. So I will always make sure that I deliver directly to that person, whether it's at their house, whether it's at their job, I don't care. But I will do the extra step to follow up by making sure that I make the phone call of I'm delivering this product directly to you. I don't make them meet me halfway for my convenience. I'm showing the above and beyond, and I'm going to their house. So that's the delivery. As soon as I get into my car after I've seen them and delivered with them, and this is actually what I do with every delivery, I will immediately, before I turn the ignition on in the car, I put a reminder in my phone immediately, 2 days afterwards, that I need to contact this person and make a follow-up phone call. So this way, you're only following up with the people that you're delivering, the small increments of people. So you may be delivering 5 people that day. That means you only have 5 people to follow up with. But if you're not following up with these people regularly and doing it consistency, you're all of a sudden going to have 500 people that you haven't followed up with. And you're going to go, oh my gosh, where do I start? And most likely you're not going to do anything. Okay. So you have to be able to do very small increments and things that's going to help you remember, because life happens, people. You deliver that order and you almost get a sense of relief that your part is done. Like, oh, the product's in their hands. I don't have to think about it anymore. I've been there. I know that feeling. Because the buildup of getting the sale and then placing the order and then, waiting for the order to come and then packaging the order and then scheduling the time to deliver. It's a process. And so when you finally deliver, you almost go, oh my God, okay. So before you do you want to do something that's going to make sure that you do not drop the ball, which is schedule your reminder. We all have, smartphones now, people. And if you don't and you have a business, you need to get one. And so immediately put it in your phone, reminding yourself with several different reminders, not just one, but 2 a day before, 2 hours before, an hour before. And then when you're supposed to be, so then oh, I'm not going to be able to do that at that time. You can reschedule that reminder, and then you can go, okay, but at 5 o'clock, I'll be able to sit down and do that. And you do not take that off your calendar until it's done. So that way you are always going to be eventually following up with those people within the day, or maybe pushing it one day off, but they're always going to be connected within 2 to 3 days. Okay. So we also have, yes.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I have a quick question, because I do get this question a lot. What if you have been a Sissy consultant for some time and now you have like 30 people that you have not followed up with? What do you recommend where we should start off at? If we're haven't been that good at following up, and now from this day forward, we want to make that our mission as being a part of gaining revenue into our businesses.
Okay, so that's a great question. And I've been there before, just so you know, because remember, in the beginning of my business, it grew so fast, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just like this. And so I didn't really have a good follow-up system. And so when things kind of settled, I was there. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So, so one thing, the vital is to, in your mind, you have to just accept what it is. That you did your best, and that now you are recognizing that there's something you can do more. And that is going to get you closer to the process than just going, oh my God, and freaking out. So you just have to say, okay, I didn't do good, but now I'm ready. And so there's a couple things you can do. You could either break it down into like 10 people a week and make those calls. And honesty is the key. Let them know, I am so sorry that you haven't heard from me. I've been learning my business. The business has kind of been growing, and I honestly didn't have a good follow-up system that I knew how to follow up. And so I'm really excited to tell you that I am at the point in my business that I know what I need to do now. And I really hope you give me a second chance, because I really want to be that consultant that you can rely on. People will be blown away. I've had people literally say, oh my gosh, you know what? I didn't even realize how long it's been since you followed up. Well, thank you for telling me that. But 1, they may not even notice. 2, they're going to very much appreciate your honesty. And 3, what have you just done? You've shown vulnerability. You've said, hey, I'm just a person trying to make my business work, and your business is so important to me, and I'm going to do whatever I can to give the service that you prefer. Now, here is where everybody should be doing this with new clients that you never followed up with. When you make that phone call, ask them, how should I follow up with you? And how often would you like me to? When I started asking those 2 questions, I connected with people on a stronger basis, and I started getting customers ordering from me monthly.
Jessica? Okay, can you guys hear her? No?
I didn't
No.
think anybody would ever want me to contact them that order from me monthly or so much. But then others, yes.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Hello?
Yes, hello. We can hear you. Jessica's talking right now, though. Sorry, Jessica, you froze a little bit, but
Oh,
now
you can hear me
we
now?
can see you. You left off. Hold on one second. You left off by talking about having that customer tell you when is the best time for you to follow up with them.
Okay, because you don't want to connect with somebody through email when they don't check emails. You don't want to, like you said, you don't personally like text messages. So if you had a consultant that you were buying from another brand always text messaging you, it would probably irritate you, right? Because you're not a text messaging communication kind of person. So you need to know if they want that phone call. Or you're going to get, nowadays, there's, so many people that are about the text messaging, they're going to say, text me. And so what I do, because like Androids, Apple doesn't have this feature, but I think there's an app that you can download that you can schedule your text messages. So what I did 2 days ago, I delivered an order, and in the car, I scheduled my follow-up text message because I knew she is a text message person. Today, I forgot that I did it. Today, I got a, thank you so much. I love it. I want to buy another one. So I did my work, I followed up, and I got another order out of it just because I utilized the tools that are available and I knew how she communicates. So yes, will it take time to follow up with those people that you haven't talked to in a while and get that information? But it's going to be so worth it. And here's another part of that. You may have lost some clients. You have to accept that. And so what I always say is, simple. And are you there? Is somebody asking me something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Nicole in Chicago. I have to actually get going. I feel so bad for interrupting, but we just moved last weekend, so I'm at storage right now, and I have to help my husband. I had the phone on speaker the whole time driving here, but now we're finally here. So, and I don't know how to leave comments because I don't have data right now, so I couldn't message you guys. I feel bad.
Thank you for letting us know. Thanks
for the tips and everything.
Yeah,
have a good night.
Awesome, thank you. So if you guys need the replay, just email me at info@lcampbellnetwork.com, and I'm gonna post in a comment. But I'll email you the replay. That's so you guys don't feel like you missed anything.
Okay.
Sometimes when we first listen to something, we only gain like what 20% of the information is good to
It's true. That's true.
Yeah. Thank you, Leticia. Thank you so much for the call. I really got a lot out of it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mama. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, okay. So the key is, guys, is just to do your best, to literally do your best. If you know you're not doing your best, then that's on you. But if you know you can do more, then do it. So the thing is you have to think about it. It's not fair to your customers that they're supporting your business and they're buying your product, and then you're leaving them without a consultant. You're saying, here's my product, fall in love with it, but guess what? You're not going to hear from me, and you're not going to be able to buy it from anybody because you can't buy it from anywhere but from a consultant. So it's almost like not fair. You have to think about it that way, that you're not following up. So a lot of people are going to say, I don't have a lot of time for follow-up. So for those people that like work full-time jobs and this is their side thing that they're trying to build, but they just don't have a lot to work with, the system of being on top of it from the beginning obviously is going to help you because you're broken things down. But if you're trying to, follow up with people that you haven't followed up with in a while and you're just starting on follow-up, what I would do now, Leticia, I'm 100% with you when you said slide dial. Slide dial, the app, what's it called? The app is I don't like it because it doesn't show that the phone number that it came from, but slidedial.com does. And what it does is that it shows that you actually tried to call them, and then it leaves a voicemail, and you can schedule this voicemail. So you could be working at 3:00 in the morning and setting up a bunch of follow-up calls and just be very generic and say, hey, it's Jess Markowitz with Sensi. I know it's been such a long time, but I was thinking of you, and I realized that you haven't been without Sensi for so long, and that's my fault. I'm so sorry, but I was thinking of you, and I realized that I had to reach out. If you need anything, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. Let me know if you need anything. I'm going to touch base with you later. My number is blah, 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 blah. So what that does is it makes them think that you actually took the time to call them directly and leaves them a nice voicemail. They get caller ID with your phone number, and then you can slowly, by increments, start making those follow-up calls, but you've already touched them. You've touched them to say, hey, I'm here. And if they want to, they'll call you back. You'll be surprised how many people actually do follow up with you and say, oh, I got your voicemail. But then you can feel that weight off your chest and start slowly making 5 phone calls a day. And then, or you can, if you want to do a follow-up system with a mailer, I always say to layer. Just layer. Do your follow-ups with postcards, email, maybe text messaging. It doesn't hurt because you never know. If you haven't had the chance to actually say, hey, how do you want me to? You can layer an email, postcard, phone call, and then text message, and you'll be surprised. All of a sudden, you get a response via text message, but they didn't respond any other way. Or they respond via email, but they didn't respond to your voicemail. Because so many people don't listen to voicemails, unfortunately. So you just have to think about it's not you. People's lives are so busy and they don't know how to manage themselves. So they may be listening to a voicemail and they mean to call you back, but they never get to it. Things happen. So you have to just take it as, oh, she's going to need another reminder. I'm going to have to call her back again. And so what I do is I keep a log of when and how I communicated with them. So if I left a voicemail, I'm not going to leave a voicemail the next time. I'm going to reach out to them again directly. I'm not going to do a slybroadcast.com voicemail. I'm going to try them directly. If I've done that, then I'm going to pop a postcard in the mail. But these are all the things I'm willing and able to do. So you just have to figure out what you're not able or willing to do. And it's okay, because I wasn't willing and able to do all this in the beginning, just because of money and even time. So
it's good that you touch base on willing and able, because I know when I first started as a consultant, like I wanted to mimic everybody. Like if I was watching you and you were sending out 50 postcards, I was doing the same thing, or whatever, you know what I mean? And I couldn't manage it because, you know, I follow some consultants, like, you know, I forgot their names, I'm sorry, that didn't have children, they didn't have a family, so they were able to do certain things, like go to 4 vendor events, do 10
yes.
Home parties. Like, I can't.
Right? Yeah, it's not possible.
Like you said, you're not willing to sacrifice the time with your family. So that's one thing I know that I'm not going to do. But I had to find out my own means of communicating with my customers. So yeah, I think it's trying to establish your own business method is very important for you to do. It's so important. Like I tell my team all the time, you don't have to do exactly what I do. Alter what I do that's going to fit your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, all right, this is a throw-in question, okay? Because like I just said, I watched your, I don't know, you guys call it a powwow, or I don't know what you guys call it. You do it live on Google every week. You had like 4 girls on, you posted it on your YouTube channel recently. And I know Jeanette, going back to what Jeanette was saying about, you know, filling your cup and how now she's a part of a director's challenger group. And she was talking about books and different resources that you can use to gain knowledge about your business. So do you guys have any books you could recommend? I know I've read this one like 5 times. I have it all marked up and everything. I love this book so much. But do you have some that you could recommend to some newbies and some current consultants that would be helpful?
Okay, so I swear by 2 specific books that I think every consultant should read early on in their business, because it really helps you change your perspective of you and understand you better, so you can find out what you're able to do, willing to do. And it's so important to know you. If you don't know you, you're not going to be able to figure out other people. So The Right Questions by Debbie Ford is, I believe, a game changer for your business and your life. It's a quick read. It's literally like 93 pages. But it really helps you ask yourself questions. And it makes you just figure out what you're willing and what you're not willing to do. And so if you can figure that on early in your business, you don't end up like, unfortunately, like you are like, oh my God, I'm trying to do it, but I can't do this, you know? So that is huge. The Right Questions by Debbie Ford. Another one that I read, it was a year into my business, and I was at a leadership retreat with Becca Levi, and I won with like a prize or whatever. It was called The $1 Million Year. And oh gosh, while I'm talking to you, I forget the author. But anyways, The $1 Million Year, it touches base on just sales skills, but also it kind of makes you look within of, you know, am I letting my success of my business be limited by my fears? Meaning like, am I deciding other people's destiny by my own insecurities? So there's one specific thing that comes up in this book that he's actually a salesperson, like at a retail store. And this guy comes in and he is just buying everything. He sells like $1,100 worth of like suits or something. And his manager comes up next to him and he goes, wow, that was a great sale. That's awesome. And he goes, yeah, it was, you know, he was so easy. And he goes, so let me ask you a question. What did he say no to? And he kind of was like, what do you mean? What did he say no to? He said, he seemed like he said yes to a lot, but what did he say no to? And it kind of makes you, what he was trying to do is make him realize that he was only sharing with the gentleman the things that he was basically finding himself. Like, meaning he saw a suit and said, "Oh yeah, I want to try this on. Oh yeah, I need socks too." But he didn't recommend, "Oh, what about underwear?" And, "Oh no, I don't need those." Or, "Oh, okay, well, are you okay with some shoes?" "No, I'm okay." He didn't recommend anything that the gentleman already didn't know that he wanted. So he lost out on sales because he was basically judging the guy's pocket by his own pocket, meaning, "Oh God, this guy's, he must be done because he just spent a lot of money, and he basically isn't saying that he needs anything else, so that means he's done, and he just spent $1,100." So he didn't push any further. He didn't share. And so he probably lost out on a lot of money because he didn't go the extra mile. And it makes us as Scentsy consultants say, well, how many times did I close the deal before the customer was even done? Because did you actually say, "Oh, I noticed that you were buying a lot of coconut lemongrass, in bars. Did you know we have a laundry line that's in coconut lemongrass? Oh my gosh, the washer whips are amazing." Just because they just spent $100 in warmers and wax, we think, "Oh my gosh." So we don't even go there about, "Oh, do you know that it also comes in car bars and, counter cleaner and laundry and da-da-da-da." We kind of judge it ourselves. Like, $100 is a lot to me. So, whoa, I don't want to push it. And we're almost kind of scared they're going to go like, are they not going to buy it because I'm recommending more? But when you think about it, you didn't even give them an option to say no. So obviously the option was no. I mean, the answer is no, because they didn't even know that was an option, right? So this book really kind of makes you open your mind and say, am I truly sharing? Am I truly educating my clients? Or am I just getting really excited that they placed an order with me and going, "Okay, that'll be $100. Okay, credit card or cash, let me write up that sale right now." So, I've lost the $1 million year. Let me see. Images. Okay, it is by Richard Fenton with an F, and Andrea Waltz. $1 Million Year. It's a book and it has a big ship on the front. So those are two quick reads that I would recommend to anybody, any part of their journey. Doesn't matter if you're a seasoned consultant. If you haven't read them, I personally think you're hurting yourself, because it really, they say that stories share the most and really kind of opens up your mind because you feel like you can relate better than just like a training. These are stories of people, and it makes you realize that you're that person too, that you've been through that, and then it emotionally connects you to the situation, and it makes you really learn a lot about yourself, and just opens doors that you're going to be amazed in your business.
That's awesome, because I know, like, when the diffusers first came out, because I started before there were diffusers, as many of you guys have. And when I saw the price, I was like, what? I don't think people are going to buy, because a lot of my customers was purchasing waxes and warmers. I was upset when it was getting rid of the layers line, because I had a lot of people who were purchasing a lot of layers product from me. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I automatically just prejudged all of my current clientele and my future clientele. So yes, stepping out of that comfort zone. And I've sold a lot of diffusers now.
Good.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, just getting out of that fear is important. Yep. So the last question I have for you, and it's just to finish it all up. And I thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us this long. And again, I posted my email in my in the comments section. So if you want the replay, let me know and I will email it to you. Just email me and I'll email you the replay. What are some of your tips? Because I'm struggling with this now. Getting people to stay on. I know it's something that's been difficult, because sometimes I end up feeling like I believe in my downline more than they believe in themselves. And I get sometimes people joining that want that instant gratification. They want to make that, they assume that it's like a get quick rich type of thing. And from the beginning, I tell them it's not. It's a buildable business. You have to work hard at it. But after a while, I do tend to, meeting consultants tend to have a frustration. I even have a girl that's on my downline. She's trying to recruit as well. So, we definitely motivate each other back and forth. But how do you just remotivate yourself and get out of that disappointment where you have people that join, they're excited about it, and they just, disappear? Like, I had a few kidnappers that joined, and, I'm like, oh my God, they found me like on my YouTube channel, on my Periscope, and they joined, and I'm like, okay, where are you? I'm emailing, calling, texting, everything. I'm not getting no response. So yeah, like, how do you get over that?
So that is a hard one. And I will tell you in the beginning, that was probably the hardest part because I did have such low self-esteem. I did take it personally. I beat myself up thinking, what did I do wrong? What am I not doing enough of? But it took hundreds and hundreds of people, unfortunately, because I'm a slow learner, that to realize that we just can't want it more than they do. And there's a saying that we have to grow tough skin, but a bigger heart. And the only thing that we truly can do is invite. And this is coming straight from Orville Thompson. I've been so blessed to have private conversations with him. And one of the things that impacted me huge, and this was back in 2014, he said, the only thing you have control of in your business and even in life is to invite people to buy your product, host with you, join your business, and then once they've joined, invite them to utilize your support. And the thing is that a lot of the reasons why people don't utilize support is because, unfortunately, unconsciously, they may be judging themselves and thinking, I can't be like her, so I'm not even going to try. They may really just aren't paying attention to what's available. We think that because it's out there and we're marketing it on YouTube and we're emailing them directly and we're texting them, that they're actually paying attention. A lot of people don't. They don't even open up emails. They don't even know what's available. And then text messaging, again, we can't take it personal because it's very likely that they see the text and then something happens and they go, oh, let me text her back later. And they completely forget about it. They get like 10 texts after that. It's not personal, but Scentsy isn't there on their forefront of their brain. So they're not thinking, oh my God, I didn't respond to my sponsor. They completely forgot about it until they get another text message from you. And then here's the thing. They're so far disconnected by that point that it doesn't emotionally hurt them or change their circumstance to deactivate. That's why it's so important to get them connected immediately when they're excited about it. On the other hand, we can't do anything about making them be connected. We can give them the tools. We can invite them to everything that's available. And it's up to them at that point to utilize it. That is why it is so vital to constantly be just bringing new people on. Because statistically, if you bring in 10 people, one person over time is going to be the person that actually sticks and does anything significant with their business. That can scare you or that can encourage you and say, hey, well, I just haven't been through enough people yet. And so I always chose to look at it that way, that, you know what, I just need more people and I need to go through, the funnel and weed through that needle in a haystack and whatever. Another leadership retreat, actually it was the same one, the first one in 2012, Becca's husband, Terry, he talked about your business is like a funnel. And so at the end, it comes out and at the top, it's wider. So you're dumping a lot of people in at the top. Where it gets skinnier, people are staying. And then at the bottom, people are always leaving. But if you are top heavy and bringing more people on, you're eventually going to be it's going to be full in here, and you're going to have a lot more people sustaining. So I'm a visual person, so that really made sense to me. I was like, okay. So that what made me click of why what I was doing was correct. That's why my business was growing and consistently growing, is because my goal every month, and I almost made it like there's no option to not sponsor every single month. I didn't even let it be a process of okay to not bring somebody new on, because I knew and understood the system that if I'm not bringing on, eventually I'm going to be losing more, and there's no growth possibility. So it's definitely a mindset, and it has to do with your own confidence and building your self-esteem, because the people that struggle with it the most are the ones that feel like that they're not adequate. And you're not doing enough. You're doing something wrong. And that's where I was in the beginning. Once I built my confidence and my self-esteem started to grow, I started to see the reality is that I'm offering everything that they need to be successful. So there's nothing that I'm not doing. They're just not, I'm coming 50%. They're just not deciding to come the other 50%. And so no matter what you do, and I always say to my team members, we could be the biggest shining star with stars flying out our, consultant or sponsor, but if they're not willing to receive the invitation, there's nothing you can do. So for instance, you're not in my immediate you're not in my downline, but you are willing to utilize a tool. And so there's people in my front line that I brought on myself that live down the street and want nothing to do with me. They've never seen a YouTube video. They've never been to a team meeting that's down the street from me, and they can care less. And so that's an example that there's somebody like you, and there's somebody that, has more access to me. And so when I compare, it's like, okay, so there's really nothing I'm doing wrong. It has to do with the will. And they're not willing to do the things that you are, or anybody that's on this call. So in short, basically, you have to ask yourself, am I doing everything in my power to provide and support my team? If you can answer, no, I could be doing more, then you have to take that action. Then you need to do more. Because usually when we are worried about it, it's because we could be. And when I was worried, there was a lot more I could be doing. I just didn't know how to do it yet. So that's why I started to train myself more. I started asking more questions. I learned more reports that I'd never pulled before. I started, I now send out a postcard to anybody that can't, or anybody that's on the will cancel. They get a physical postcard now. They also get an email, and they get a phone call from me. And if they don't get it by the 3 different ways I'm trying to connect with them, oh, well, I guess they don't want to be with Sensi. But then what I do is I also follow up with an email saying, hey, I'm sorry that you decided that unfortunately you canceled, but you're always a part of our family. And if anything changes, you're eligible to reinstate in 3 months. And then in that 3 months, I send them a postcard with all the information that they need to reinstate. And I will tell you that because I go above and beyond and I've made those extra actions, I have probably about 5 people that drop off that come back every month on average. So even if I'm not sponsoring brand new consultants, I'm always bringing new people back into the business. So there's always something you could be doing more in the end. And so instead of beating yourself up and saying, or blaming the person, there's the book that we're reading, our leadership retreat. It's called No Excuses by Brian Tracy. The what's it called, Jeanette? The something of self-discipline. Oh gosh, I can't believe there's a word in between. Something of hold on a second. Hold on. The power of self-discipline. Thank you, Cindy. So I knew there was like a word, the power of self-discipline. And what they're talking about is that when we get angry or frustrated, we think it's about what other people are not doing or what they're doing to us. And when you really think about it, it's unconsciously what we're not doing. So if we drop the ball somewhere, we're always trying to figure out how or what, the other person is not doing or is doing to us to upset us. And so when it comes to people dropping off or not engaging, we always never want to say, oh, well, this person just doesn't want it, and just give up on them. Because that can be that's an excuse. Because a lot of people get that concept, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That's true. But you always can you can always be looking internally of maybe there's a way to direct that horse in a more appealing way that you're not directing them. So always be looking internally of, okay, could I have reached out to them a little bit more? Could I have, maybe sent something in the mail on a personal level? Could I have picked up the phone instead of just sent emails the whole time? Whatever. Always ask yourself, what can I do differently? And when you do, you'll find the answer, and you'll start to see a difference in the retainability in your business. Because once I had a good retainability, I'll be honest with you, for a long time, and I still do. But the bigger your team is, the more is going to drop off. It's just numbers, it's statistics. But knowing that you are doing what you can is the key. And when you're not, call yourself on it. Call yourself out. Because then you're always going to beat yourself up, because you're going to say, could I have saved, 5 people that dropped off if I would have been doing something different? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that it confused you. It is a very touchy subject, and it is a very confusing, to a lot of people. That is one of the biggest reasons why people quit. I'm going to tell you that is because they don't ever get to the point of acceptance of how the business works, and that you are a big part of your business's growth. We can rely on our teams to sponsor, but if we're not sponsoring ourselves and building, basically you're the foundation. You are the one that's going to be sponsoring and building your team. The big portion of it is going to be built by you. And then once you build that wide foundation, and frontline, that's when the bigger picture starts to happen. But if your frontline's like this, it's going to be very hard to build a large downline. So this business is very, very confronting about how much you have to be very self-disciplined and take ownership of your business. It relies on you. And we can use the excuses that they have to want it themselves. It's a true statement, but that can also be used as an excuse, and that can end up becoming toxic to your business. So, because eventually most people don't want it themselves because they don't know it's possible. And so to me, it's up to us to show that it's possible by leading by example.
That was awesome. Like, you just gave me a light bulb in my head, because, I just like I told you guys from the beginning, my husband and I have been married for 14 years. And, in marriage, you go through a lot of ups and downs. And I remember when we went through a very dark moment in our marriage, and we actually went through marriage counseling, and it took me everything to get him to go. And I was like, okay, babe, you're coming with me. We go there. And I'm like, oh, she's going to go in on him. This is going to be my sidekick. She's going to go in. And when she looked at me, she said, Letitia, you got to accept your role in his behavior. I was like, no, she did. Like, I was like, oh no, she didn't just tell me. I don't have a role in this. It's his fault. He's the wrong one. It's his fault. Like, I thought she was going to be like Team Letitia. But now I'm realizing, going back to talking about my downline, some of the girls that have fallen off, I haven't contacted them at all. I sort of was like, they deactivated themselves. They don't want to be a consultant. So bye-bye. But just thinking about what you just said,
maybe it's something that I didn't do or I lack doing, because I have my own, I'm very independent. I'm very independent. Like if you show me how to do something A, B, and C, I would just take it from there. I don't like being micromanaged. So my sponsor knows, okay, you go over there and I got, okay, but a lot of girls are not like that. And it was even to the point where when I would get, text messages all the time, like I have this one new recruit, like she texts me every day. And I'm like,
I know.
But now I have to transition and say, okay, she needs me, and I have to be a support to her. Because again, I'm just thinking back, I had other recruits that were like that would contact me on a consistent basis that wasn't really like self-sufficient, or what's the word I'm trying to find? I forgot which word. Like, a type of person that just gets up and go without being given directions or nothing like that.
Self-motivated.
Yeah, self-motivated.
Yeah.
So, now I realize what role I played in that. So thank you for helping me with that. But another thing I want to ask you is, if you have a few people that's been on your team page, you know how we build our own personal group team pages outside of the our sponsors pages.
Yes.
You keep them on. Like if you have a consultant that, let's say if I start contacting these consultants that deactivated themselves or whatever, do I keep them on my team page if they've been on for 6-7 months?
So that's always been kind of a big question amongst a lot of leaders in the company. There's a couple different perspectives that you kind of have to find within yourself how you feel. One is that they may be future consultants coming back, and so you're keeping them a part of the family, and you're letting them know that just because you stop doesn't mean that you're not part of our family. And so they see the interaction, they see what's going on with Sensi, and they may see something that sparks them to go, well, I want to be a Sensi consultant again. Like my circumstances has changed, and maybe I should try this again. On the other hand, there is argument that you deactivated, you don't have a right to be a part of this page because we, share things that are basically haven't come out yet, or you shouldn't have a privilege to see and see things that consultants have. So it's kind of like the perspective that you want to take. I personally keep them on. I want them to know that their presence in my organization meant something, whether it's for a small period of time or not. And the people that want to be on there are going to pay attention. And it's most likely the people that pay attention are likely going to become consultants again, or they're going to stay your best customers or hostesses. And the people that want nothing to do with it, they're going to take themselves off anyways. They're going to just delete themselves off the page, and then you don't have to worry about it. I will tell you, the bigger your group gets, it's very hard to keep up with that. There's just no time. I mean, there's sometimes there's 20 people leaving every month, and it's like, I don't got time to scroll through if you're on there or not. And I don't care. If you don't want to see it, you better delete yourself. You know what I mean? So on that perspective, when your group is that big like mine, I just can't do it. I can't keep up with it. I do ask my leaders that have teams to kind of, pay attention to that and take them off if they want to, but I don't take the time. I just don't. But it's a good question. It's something that I even questioned at certain points, but I came to the conclusion is that, when it's a mindset. I choose to think when they come back, they're already on the page. I don't have to think about it. And so you just within yourself, you have to decide how you want to look at that, because both sides make sense. The person that I heard, she's a superstar director, and she's a very powerful and very well-known and one of the top performers in the company. She takes them off. She's like, if you deactivate, you do not deserve to be on this page. And I understand. It's kind of true, but so you kind of have to figure it out yourself of how you want to look at it.
Awesome. Thank you. So, okay, guys, I want to thank you so much, Jessica. So much. I mean, you could be doing anything right now, but you're taking time for a little lady like me, and I so appreciate that. So, guys, thank you, all you lovely ladies who attended. And I just want to first and foremost first say is just God bless all of you and your businesses and your families and everything, and just keep doing what y'all doing. And you definitely just filled my cup up. And so yeah, I'm definitely going to take on some action plan. And another thing I started doing from your powwow you did the other day is that I wake up at 4 a.m. now.
Wow, good for you.
Okay, well, the kids are sleeping. I'm not interrupted. I'm not changing little diapers. It's just
right
my time. And I almost didn't know what to do with myself this morning. I was like, I got like 10 things done. It was awesome. So it's like a personal challenge that I'm doing this week. That I just, I read something in a magazine that most moguls like Oprah and all them big moguls, they wake up very, very early in the morning. They get there, they wake up ahead of the game.
The early bird catches the worm.
That's right. That's right. So I'm getting a lot of sleep at night and waking up at 4. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Again, email me if you guys want the replay. Jessica, I love you, Mama. I love you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. God bless.
Bye.